Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to come speak at this session this month. I am Roxana, and today I'll speak about and give you a peek into the process of building the Green Spurt, the process we had so far. This is an indie game for Vision OS. So just to get started, I will give you a bit of context of who I am. Right, so I am one of the co-founders and creative technologists at Reality Check. I am here together with Cristian, who is also in the meeting today. We're happy to meet up later in the breakout rooms and chat more about Vision OS and all those things. We have more than 20 years of combined experience developing for Apple platforms, and our work with augmented reality spatial computing goes back to all the way back to ARKit 1. In our previous roles, we contributed to the development of several apps across a various line of industries, including tourism, consumer goods, healthcare, and more. And what we do right now is we specialize in immersive content innovation for Apple Vision Pro. What we're trying to do is chase those magical moments on the device, and our mission is to deliver accessible, engaging, and inspiring experiences. So we started this about 4 months ago, and we knew we wanted to be makers first. So we started our first project, which is called the Green Spurt, to really give us a playground to learn the ins and outs of this platform. Here we go. And here is just like a teaser we released about a month ago. We were just too excited to keep it to ourselves. And this is just like a few shots from the game and what we're building, which is an immersive escape room style experience for Apple Vision Pro. We think it's quite a really good story behind it as well. We're trying to spotlight humanity's capacity to innovate and be, capable of adaptation. We are going to have features like collaborative puzzle solving, intuitive and accessible controls, and we want to take advantage of immersive spatial audio because we absolutely love this on the device. And on the right here, you can see a bit of how it started, humble beginnings with our game, and how it's currently going. We are in development, and I will next tell you our selection of tools and technologies that we use to build this game, and a little bit more about that. So first off, we knew we wanted to build an original story. So something that maybe can go beyond this game. And for story building, the most valued tool we have is called design fiction. This is a practice developed by Near Future Laboratory, and what it is that you create tangible artifacts from the future, essentially. So it could be like a cereal box or even like an IKEA catalog. This is examples from Near Future Laboratory, which, in simple terms, is like archaeology for the future. So rather than digging up the past, you're trying to build everyday objects of tomorrow. So then you can really discuss and shape what the future might look and feel like. They even have a work kit you can use for those exercises, and I highly recommend it because it really, forces you and stretches your imagination to, whatever you're building, whatever product you have or service, you can use this work kit. And I just published an article yesterday when I go over how we use it for our first game asset. And you can see a sneak peek here on the right side with the Starbase chair. If you're interested, there's a QR code. You can save it for later, and I'll include more of those links in the end. But I would say, whatever you're doing, check this out, this practice. Cristian introduced it to me. I actually got to experience it firsthand at the Museum of the Future in Dubai. It's a super powerful tool, so look into it. Then we go into what tools we use for modeling. So we're building a game, and essentially every experience you build for Vision OS might require you to have some sort of models. And this is the toolbox that we work so far with. We start off with Midjourney. This is the first step. We have those, we come up with those artifacts using design fiction, as I mentioned. And then we try to generate some illustrations to really put our ideas into a visual form. And we think that this really speed tracks our process because instead of doing this iteration directly in the digital content creation tools, we can do it in a much earlier phase where it's much less effort, so you can um, speed track your development. It's never a one-to-one replication of what we get to generate, but it really gives us the option to say, okay, that's a really cool thing. That's not what we like. We did some generation as well for the environment we're building. So has been a very useful tool for us. Then you can see here Blender and Houdini kind of in the same spot, but Houdini is starting to replace Blender in our workflow. And we started off with Blender because it has a low cost, it's ease of use, it's quite popular. And it turned out for procedural and parametric projects, which is what we have, its advantages fade quite quickly because you need a lot of add-ons. Cristian shared with me that he juggled with over 100 extensions. So he recently switched to Houdini, which seems to be a better fit for USD-based workflows that also demand iteration. Cristian is quite knowledgeable in the whole 3D process. So if you also have questions, you can meet him in the breakout room later. And plasticity is used in parallel with Blender and Houdini. And I think the magic happens when you get to Adobe Substance 3D Painter. When you have a tight geometry budget, which you do when you build Vision OS experiences, it really allows you to create very realistic models with different detailed textures, and then you ensure that your project stays quite efficient. Everything comes together in Reality Composer Pro, and while we haven't used object capture yet, we definitely want to explore how we can get maybe an object from the real world inside our game because it's a really good tool to use. This is a concrete example of the workflow from idea to a playable game asset. Again, we started with an exercise. We thought about this artifact from the future. What could a portable computing device look like in our story in the future when you also have environmental hazards? And you can see here all the steps from an illustration in Midjourney, that I went to the modeling and then texturing. And finally, you have the playable game asset with a Swift UI on top of it as well. For development, we are native, so we use Reality Kit. We also work with Tabletop Kit, which, choosing it for an escape room project it seemed like a bold decision in the beginning, but it proved to be a good one for us so far. At first sight, and maybe because of the game, it appears to be specializing in tabletop games. And we can't say that we were exactly doing that with an escape room experience. But we evaluated in more depth, and we came to the conclusion that it has an ability to simplify really complex interactions while still providing dynamic behavior-based experiences. So in the end, it seems like it's an ideal tool for us, and so far it has been a good decision. We also work with SwiftUI and Xcode, of course, and we are using Accessibility API as we're quite intentional in making the game accessible and inclusive. Cristian is pretty much an ambassador on accessibility for Vision OS, so you can check out his blog for content on that subject. And I also linked here the article called The Framework Next Door, which is a deep dive into our decision to use Tabletop Kit. You can save it for later if you want. We also use 11 Labs for AI voice generation and Canva for some game assets. And I also made a video that is inside the game with it. I am interested right now to convert it to a video with Sora because I keep seeing, at least in the promotional, the videos were kind of interested. So maybe I'll look into using that. This is in terms of development and modeling our toolbox and what we use. If you have any questions more in depth about this, we're happy to share our insights. And then in the next section, I will tell you a bit about just like the key learnings and current challenges we have with this project. At the top of our list, biggest challenge is, comes with early adoption. Vision OS, it has an evolving landscape, and there's a lot of scarce documentation of the frameworks that we work with, especially Tabletop Kit. You can see here some of the radars we submitted, and sometimes it feels like the documentation is a puzzle in itself. But we're quite excited about it, and we also find great fulfillment, even if it means getting our hands dirty along the way. We've seen that a background in iOS development definitely helps, but spatial computing is a whole new dimension, and there's a lot of disciplines you have to master. Then also, I think this is something a lot of indie developers, for that matter, can relate to. Wearing all hats is not a problem, but bandwidth is. We decided to do everything on our own: concept, design, development, marketing, pretty much everything that comes with a project like this. And this was because we really wanted to be involved in every step and learn about the pipelines and processes and understand that and what it makes to create a good Apple Vision Pro experience. But it's just so much you can do at the same time. So every day pretty much is a constant prioritization challenge. Every day we need to review, okay, what is the most critical thing we need to look into now, and we need to keep that flexibility. And finally, we just need better presentation. I thought that moving away from like corporate background and a corporate career will give me a break from presentations. But it turns out they're still very important. And not only that, but you need to make different presentations for different types of audiences. Maybe you need an elevator pitch when you go to a conference, you just met somebody, you want to tell them about your project. Or as we do now, we're looking into funding. So we're working on building this more complex and detailed presentation. So that is just something like a key learning and a current challenge. And it takes some time, but it's something that we will be working on. A bit of insights into what we've been doing and some of our key learnings. And if you want to keep up with what we're doing, we're quite committed to share all of our learnings, technical and non-technical, in terms of the process as well. And if you want to try out the game, we have a beta coming soon. You can register for early access, and the target day for this is beginning of March, which is in line with Let's Vision conference. And we're super excited to go there as exhibitor with the game. So let me know in the chats, in the breakout rooms, if you're going to be there in Shanghai, China. We're super excited to meet you. And yeah, finally, let's connect. Let us know if you have any questions. And I hope you got to see that this project that we're working on is quite exciting.